to Kidmissing TV. My name is Angelina Wilson, and this is the case of the Yuba County 5. There were 5 young men with varying degrees of disability, and one had schizophrenia. The others were all intellectually disabled. They were 24-year-old Jack Hewitt, H-U-E-T-T, 29-year-old Bill Sterling, 32-year-old Ted Weir, 30-year-old Jack Madruga, and 25-year-old Gary Mathias. 2 of the men were Army veterans, Gary Mathias being discharged on a psychiatric discharge. They were from Yuba County, California. This was the 24th of February. They were going to Chico, California, to what is called Chico State, to watch a basketball game. A rather suspect man came forward and said the car pulled up behind him, and he was in his car suffering because he got stuck on the mountain road when he went up to check the snowpack for skiing. And they all had flashlights, and it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't put a lot of stock in what this man said, although their car was parked behind his. That's the only thing we know for sure. The boys were set to be in a tournament. And actually, some reports say that the next day, because they were basketball players themselves, at the Gateway program, which was a program for the mentally handicapped and mentally ill. So some said the tournament was to start the next day. It was sponsored by Special Olympics, and they were going to, if they won the tournament, have a chance to go to Los Angeles for a week as a prize. And some reports say the finals of the tournament were the next day. So I am not sure which it is. There's a little bit of confusion there. In June of the same year, 1978, four of the men's bodies were found. The first to be found was Ted Weir, inside a Forest Service trailer, which they had broken the window of and gotten inside of. They found K rations, which are a little bit different than MREs. And they were eating them. Well, at least Weir, Jackie Hewitt, and Mathias were. And we know Mathias was in there because his shoes were left there, and he took Ted Weir's boots because they were more appropriate for the terrain than his sneakers. And presumably he was going to hike out and get help. Of course, people spread rumors that he killed his friends. No, they died of starvation and froze to death. It is believed that Jackie Hewitt was the one that took care of Ted Weir until he died. Some people will say Mathias did, but most agree that Mathias would have been the one that went for help. That's why he took the boots. And Ted Weir lived 8 to 12 weeks based on beard growth, and he was suffering. He had deadly frostbite on his feet. They were gangrenous. If they had been rescued, if somebody told somebody that trailer existed and they searched it, and he and Jackie had been rescued, they could have amputated his feet and he would have survived. And they could have told us what the heck happened. how they ended up 17 miles in the wrong direction on a road that Jack Madruga never would have driven on with his car because it would have torn up the bottom of his car. And he loved his car. Ted was wrapped up in a bunch of sheets very carefully after he passed away. It was evidenced that he had been fed. And they think that after he died, Jackie Hewitt might have gone on to try to get help himself. Well, he died not far from the trailer, also frozen, starved. Next, on either side of the road the trailer was on, if you can call it a road, were Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga. It's believed that they died together, but because they were both scavenged, unfortunately, they were on either side of the road. And like I said, Jackie Hewitt was found near the trailer. Gary Mathias was never found. And some people, because of his mental illness, spread rumors that he killed his friends. Again, they froze to death and starved to death. He most likely froze to death trying to get help. The question is, what made them drive up there in the first place? 70 miles in the wrong direction. They had supposed sightings of Gary in the year after the bodies were found. And the siblings of the boys are still very emotional. It's still very raw for them. Excuse me. Especially Ted Weir's brother. I did watch a documentary. I watched this case on the Lore Lodge, but I also watched a documentary on Netflix. It's part of a series, part of one of their series about the unexplained. So yeah, it's, very unfortunate. Like I said, they were going to Chico State to watch a basketball game. Then they were going to their game the next day. They stopped at a store in Chico called Bear Market, B-E-H-R, just before they closed at 10 o'clock. And the woman remembers them because she was annoyed because so many people walked in when she wanted to close. They bought milk, soda, and snacks. And they were able to trace the milk back to that market that was in the back seat of the car. That's how they found that. That's amazing. That is just amazing police work. Excuse me. Did someone follow them? Force them off the road? I mean, I can't fathom what happened. I made another video about this, and it was 30 minutes long, and it wasn't in order, in my opinion. So I decided to redo it. Actually, all three, Madruga, Hewitt, and Sterling, had been scavenged. Excuse me. Two of the men had their driver's licenses, Mathias and Madruga. Actually, I think one of the others did too. Their families described their disabilities as being like Ted Weir had the mentality of a 12-year-old. He would ask, presumably when he was learning to drive, why do I have to stop at a stop sign? Things that you go, why are you asking that? Well, and he was in bed as the house was burning down because he wanted to make sure he got enough sleep so he could go to work the next day. His family had to drag him out of the house. It's not funny, but it is funny. It's a little peculiar. But I have to say, this case struck me as someone with disabilities. I have autism. I have mild learning disabilities. So for me, I feel like, but for the grace of God, In the trailer, it is said that there was a fireplace. It probably was like some kind of wood stove or something. And there were matches and paperback books. Well, maybe it's my disability, but I would assume if there were paperback books that they weren't there for kindling, which apparently they were. That's what they were there for, just to use to start a fire. Well, who would think of that? But that's how it's been described. Also, there was a kerosene heater that they could have turned on. It's possible they didn't know that or know how to turn it on. Well, I guess Gary would have known how to turn it on. The rest of them wouldn't have. Maybe they didn't see it, and maybe they didn't find the fuse box to turn on the lights. I'm surprised that he got frostbitten that badly indoors. I don't think he did. I think, hear me out, that Weir and Matthias switched shoes, which is why only one of Matthias's sneakers was found in the trailer. And all three set off to get help. Jackie, Ted, and Gary. But because they had switched shoes, Ted got frostbitten. He was in a lot of pain, and they wanted to warm him up, so they brought him to the trailer. He probably lost a shoe along the way, and they took the other shoe off, tried to make him warm, and Matthias told Hewitt to stay with him, and he would get help because he had the experience being in the military. Nobody's ever brought that up. Nobody's ever suggested that or hypothesized that. But I think that's the best way to explain the frostbite. I think that they traded shoes, and snowpack was deep. It got in his shoes. He got frostbite. He lost a shoe, clearly, because there was only one of Gary's sneakers in the so. So yeah. So that's a different take on it. That's my take on it. Take that for what you will. Um, and of course, there's an argument between the police and the Forest Service as to whether or not the Forest Service informed them that the trailer was there. The police say they didn't, the Forest Service says they did. Even if you did, why didn't you search your trailer that you knew was there? That you could have saved their lives. Of at least 2 men. Possibly 3, depending on when you searched it. That's just my opinion. Because it's not believed that Madruga and so many names, Sterling ever made it, and they were attached to each other, ever made it as far as the trailer. Excuse me. They never went far enough up the road to see the trailer for some reason. I think the Forest Service themselves, whether or not they told the police it was there, should have gone and searched it themselves. They walked 14 and a half miles to get to that trailer. In the freezing cold. Like I said, I think that, well, either they traded shoes, or here's another thought that I had. Maybe Gary lost a sneaker and they found the trailer and he left Jackie and Ted in the trailer, said, "Daddy, I'm taking your boots so I can go get help." But he put on the hiking boots and off he went, or work boots, whatever they were, and went. Excuse me. So, that's my opinion. I will link the Lore Lodge story on the case, and I will link the episode of the Netflix series on the case in the description. So, thank you very much. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I am not going to do a poster for this one. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys. See you Wednesday.